Okay, so welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is going to be on the topic of working with art, okay? One of the first steps that you'll have to do when creating designs is actually deal with some sort of artwork in order to create your designs. I use clip art images. I use JPEGs, PNG files. I rarely use vector files. The only time I have to use vector file is when I want to put a decorative flair to the already existing image and change it up in different ways. We'll talk about that. But most of my images are going to be created as JPEGs or PNG files. Okay, I work with those files pretty much all the time. The only reason why is because JPEGs and PNG files and all those rasterized type files, okay, take up less room on my computer. Where vector files, because of the way they're created, can take several megabytes worth of memory room on my computer. So I don't like to use vectors unless I really, really have to, okay? So we can use JPEGs, you can use bitmaps, you can even use very bad art in the software effectively, okay, in creating designs for you. Now, we're going to be talking about the hotfix era software. Next week, we're going to be doing the same thing for the Liberty software, which is for embroidery. But seriously, the same technique I'm going to use for hotfix era is going to be this for rhinestones. Is actually going to be the same technique I'm going to use when I want to create embroidery. Okay, so if some of you out there actually run both embroidery as well as hotfix rhinestones, then it'll, the same technique is applied both ways, okay, for both softwares. Okay, so get started. So when you get started, by the way, don't rely on Google to actually to find clip art images. You will find that clip art images are usually copywritten or trademarked, and if you get caught using them, of course, it could be a fine. Okay. Let's see, got a question here from Laverne. Is there an easy way to add a double row border? Yes, it's called a trap color, and we'll talk about that and using contour lines, okay, to do it. We're going to get started here. So I was talking about not using Google as your clip art image search. I know we all get caught up in doing that from time to time, and it's easy, it's effective, but you do want to put a couple filters when searching just to protect your business from any kind of lawsuit or litigation. The first thing you do is when you're in Google, okay, what you want to do is up at the top your usage rights, okay. You want to check labeled for reuse, okay, or if you plan on changing the graphic, you got to choose label for reuse with modification. Now, when we have not filtered by license, we see a lot of different images showing up here. But as soon as we click on label for reuse with modification, a lot of those hearts goes away. Now, these hearts I can use, okay? These are labeled for reuse, okay? This one here looks pretty interesting. Probably want to do that in print, but, rhinestones would be a little difficult on that. So, all right. So, we're actually going to talk about resolution size, okay? Resolution size is how many pixels are actually in a graphic. Let me go ahead and go to we're going to go to a icon size, okay? Now, an icon size is actually a very low resolution. You can see it like on this private parking parkering. The resolution size is 256 by 256. And when I zoom into this thing, you can see. You can see that we have a lot of different colors in this red. It's solid red in the middle, but towards the outside here, we have this maroon color. And what we thought was white is not actually white. We have a lot of gray pixels in here, okay? This would be considered pretty bad art to actually use. We can use it, though, okay? We can clean this up a little bit. I'm going to save this one here. And again, we're not going to be creating anything with this. I'm just going to use it as an example in a very poor piece of artwork. Zoom back out again, and let's go and choose. Let's see what else we got here. There we go, heart, and this is the only heart here. Now, when I choose this one, you can see first of all how small this heart is. Okay, when you go to a resolution size that's actually large, let's go ahead and go to icon. When you go to large files, let's pull up this one here. Look how big it is actually on screen. And when we zoom into this, okay, we can actually see it's pretty solid red, okay? I mean, we have some great pixelation going on here in the white that you can see here, right along the fine edges here, but we're not worried about that. That's outside of our image, not inside. But we want to see that we have solid tone, the same color in the middle as well as on the edges, okay? This would be considered a good piece of artwork, okay? So I'm going to save that as well. Okay, let's go and bring those pieces of artwork in now. So we go to images and clipart, where did I put that? Let's go to the desktop. And where's it at? Let's see. Oh, let me just see some here. I have a folder called clipart. There it is right there. All right, so let's go here. Can everybody see my screen still? Okay, good. Okay. Now, hold on. Where is my clipart folder? Oh, because I'm on back, right? Let's go to raster. Not sure why it's not showing up here. Hold on, let's just go ahead and go to, let's go to open image, and then we'll go to clipart from here. There we go. All right, so let me choose this heart right here. Okay, this is a Happy Valentine's Day design. Okay, and right away you can see this is very low resolution image. Actually, you can actually find the resolution image on any given artwork by simply going to the clipart image, and if you right-click on it, we'll have to go to artwork here and go to open image. I'll have to see it through here. If you right-click on it, go to properties, and then go to details. And you can see this is 264 pixels by 191 pixels. Very low resolution image, okay? And that's why it's coming in. Usually I look for resolution images somewhere like this one here is, let's click on this one. Let's drop this in here, okay? First of all, notice the size difference between these two graphics when I brought them in. A larger resolution image will already be larger, where a small one usually can put on the internet because it's such a small image, doesn't take up website room, so people use them all the time. Okay, so when I look at this image here, I go to properties and I go to details. Okay, we're at 1,620 pixels by 1,920 pixels. Okay. A lot more pixels in this image, okay, than what we have on the other one. This one here will convert better than this one, okay? There's some work I need to do to this one here just to be able to get its size right, okay? If your image is a large size, like anything over 700 pixels, okay, is what you want to work with, okay? It actually is going to make it a lot easier. So right away, this one here, I can just go ahead and go to layout. I can choose the size I want, and I don't want it so stretched out. I'm just going to go 5 inches. And then what I'll do is I'll just take the bottom up here, and squeeze it a little bit. And then this one here I can convert right away. So I don't really need anything. By the way, when you're converting, the first thing I do is with my autocomplete here. You see my magic wand? You see the running ants, okay? You see how jagged those lines are? Well, that's because the color on the edges is still not the color inside, okay? When I do magic wand outside of that bounding box, see, it doesn't even choose anything because there's so many different shades there. This is why it's important that whenever you're using JPEG images, you have to clean the image, okay? When I click on even the white outside of it, you can see how it's picking up all those grays here. See how jagged it is? What we want on any graphic image is we want to see nice, clean, running ant lines, okay? That's what they call them. Just out of kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and go into here. Look at the pink, okay? It's not even choosing a heart. It's choosing shades, okay? Now, there's two ways of attacking this. Number one is I can actually increase my maximum region width to actually see more. So if I set this to like 1.0, it's actually seeing a little bit more now, okay? Not as much, okay? So let me set this to, just to 50. And that's not even doing anything. It's so low res. Okay, but let's go to the heart now. Let's go to the red heart here and see what the running ants look like now. You can see by setting to 50, it's still a little craggy. So what you want to do is you do want to actually clean up your artwork. And to do that, you got to reduce the amount of colors that are in it. If you click on your image, there's a tool that comes up at in the upper left-hand corner called color reduction. When you click on it, there's a couple steps you want to do. How many colors do you want to reduce it down to? Right now, it's going to see 32 colors, okay? If I hit filter, it'll read all those colors. You can see all those different shades that it's detecting in red. It's not just the red, okay? There's a lot more grouping of red similarities, but you have some pinks, some mauves, and then it goes on and on. We only have 2 colors in this image. You always have a white background to any JPEG art, okay? Just so you can see what I'm talking about. Is if I change my background color to black here, that white background is part of the colors, okay? You have to include that in the choice selection when you're reducing colors, okay? When I go to reduce colors, since my image is only red and white, I reduce to red and to 2 colors. Hit filter, and what it'll do is filter all those other colors into a primary color. And there it is. So when I hit return now watch what happens when I use my magic wand, which is autocomplete. And you can see, look at the running ants. Now it's no longer jagged anymore. It's following the edge, at least real close to the edge. It's not catching all these sawtooth pieces, okay? We don't need those, okay? But we do have a much cleaner piece of artwork. Now we can just hit enter, and it'll automatically place my stones in there, just like that. Okay? Let's do the same thing for the other one, okay? Let's clean up the other image, see how good we can get this, okay? So I'm going to click on this, I'm going to reduce colors. We only have pink, we have this lighter pink heart, and we have the white. So let's go ahead and go to let's go to filter first. Let's see 32 colors. See all the different shades it's seeing. We're going to tell it to see 3 colors. Again, that's the pink, the lighter pink heart, and the white background. There's the 3 colors. We hit filter, and now we have a nice clean piece of art. Now when we go ahead and magic wand this thing, you can see it's starting to see a lot better part of my image, okay? Now, the approach I go to real small artwork like this versus the larger one is going to be a little bit more manual, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this to a more comparable size that I can deal with. And even though I get a good magic wand, there's a different way I want to approach this, okay? I want this to be a row of stones, not a filled area. I want this to be filled, okay? So the way I do this is simply choose my color. Let's go ahead and go to hotfix. And let's go ahead and go to my stones. I'm going to choose an SS6. Let's go to red. And I'll go to an SS10 red. Okay. And what I'll do is I'm going to manually create this, okay, instead of using the magic wand, because my magic wand, it includes all the scroll work, which I don't want it to do, okay? So I'm going to go to manual, and I'll draw this out to stay right on the edge here, okay? Just see how I'm doing this? This will allow you to choose what you want as a fill and what you're going to use as a scroll work. There's there. And now we can go to the scroll work. So from here, I would just go to hotfix, and I would choose path, and I'll just start doing this. So I'll just go. I'll start from this stone here in the center of the stone. And I'll go to, actually, let's stay on that. And then we'll start from here. And so I'm creating it all manually. It's not going to take me too long to do. And I'm going to definitely get the work, the look that I'm trying to achieve here. The way that you place your nodes, these white things are called nodes, and they control shape of an object, is at the start of the curve, the middle of the curve, and the end of the curve. And we'll come down here. I'm going to stay on the inside here, so I'm away from these stones over here. Primarily, I like to stay right in the middle of my image so I get the right look. But sometimes what we have is you have stones that are going to be real close to other stones, and you don't want to have them too close. You want to be able to distinguish what's a spiral. Okay, see now how that plays. So what I'm going to do, you go select the object. Just going to move this. Move this node. There we go. And then we'll go back to drawing. Stay on the inside here. I got this line up here, which is very close to it. I'll come down here and do the last one. There we go. Okay. So now what we want to do, and the text, I never automatically create text. You don't want to do that. It'd be a nightmare. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to hotfix. I'm going to do hotfix text here, and I'm going to choose. This is actually more of a. Let me see. Let me go to decorative. I think it's going to be. Let's see. Not kernels. This one's close, but it's a little Irish. Let me see. It's monoscript is what I think is the name of it. So I'm going to go to scripts. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. This one here, Lucida. And I'll type it out. So I'm going to, it's going to go to happy, H-A-P-P-Y. And we'll set our font height to about a ½ inch, a little bit more than ½ inch. And we'll set this to rotate. And we just want so let me see, I don't want this border. And see, the font is so small, it'll be hard to do. So let me go to digitize font, see if I can find something in here that'll work. There we go. In needs to be a little bit bigger. So because your smallest stone is an SS6, you have to be very, you have to be careful on how small of a font you're using. So I'm going to space between letters. I'm going to 0.1. All right, and then what I'll do is go to 0.60. There we go. So now we're starting to see something. See, what I'll do for this stuff here, I'll just like stretch it out a little bit, get that where I actually bring this closer to it. So I'll just fix it. See right here, I'm just going to bring this out here. It's going to straighten that line on the left-hand side. See, the way they do these letters is actually they do it in stages. You have the stem, and then you have the curved part of the P. Well, see how the curve is coming into the stem here. Okay, the straight line is the stem, is what I'm calling it. So what I'll do is I'll bring this out away from the stem, and that straightens up the stem. Okay. Now I don't do it twice. Okay, I don't have to. I could just like delete this one. You go to split hotfix text, right? And I can copy this. And then what I can do is I can go to choose this. Bring this one out. There we go. And we have the same thing over here. You see how the A is encroaching on this section here. So if I just move this out and move it down, move it out here, it keeps that intact. Okay, I don't have a lot of moving around. This middle part is intersecting on the two legs, so I'm just going to move this in. And we'll do the same thing over here. And then we'll just do it one more time over here. Just bring it out a little bit more. There we go. And there you go, happy. Okay, so that's how we create that, okay? Now, we did have a question about trapping colors, okay? How to do a second and third color. Let me show you how you would do this, okay? Let's go ahead and grab this heart. We're going to use this heart as an example. And I'm going to do it two ways, okay? Let me see. I think I got a question here. Let me see. Oh, no, no questions. Okay, great. All right, so when we want to do a track color, we can actually, let me just grab a, let me go to the hotfix here. Let me go ahead and do it. Let's change this one to a clear stone. Clear, SS10. Change this one here. Let me go ahead and do this with a clear SS6. All right, let's move this up. Okay, so, all right, so there's my colors. Okay, what I want to do, actually this one here, I'm going to do this one purple. Well, we'll do it blue. Okay, we'll do something patriotic. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do a red heart, and then we're going to do a clear outline, and then outside of the image will be the blue. Okay, if you're going to approach this on the artwork, then what you're going to need is you're going to need a vector, okay? Now this image has already been cleaned up. In other words, I reduced the colors, okay? That's the first step I did. Let me see, hold on 1 second here. Let me see. Okay, all right, so the first thing I did is actually reduce the colors of my image down to 2, red and white. And the second part I do is convert this to a vector, okay? Only convert images to vector after you reduce the colors, okay? If you don't do it, then you're going to get different shades in here, okay, that you don't really want. Once I convert the vector, I'm going to filter. You can see the before and after. Okay. It's going to ask me what I want to consider my transparent layer. It means this part will be deleted from the vector. Okay, since I don't need the white in my image, I'm just going to go and vectorize, and when I hit return, it converted that to a vector effectively. See, the white's now no longer there. So now what I can do is I can click on this, and I'm going to put my trap color in just by simply changing the format of the graphic. You have a fill, you have a border. Okay, let's take a look at that border. Okay, and you have a fill with a border, so the border color should be white. There we go. Okay. Now my trap color is actually going to be very simple to do. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and let me go to layout real quick. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold this right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a contour on the border color. See, what I did is I changed it from a fill. I turned off the fill, so I'm just dealing with the border. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called a contour shape. Now the contour offset is actually going to put another line outside of this. That's going to be my third color. All right, so right away I'm going to change the color to blue because that's my intended color. This is only a visual, so you don't have to change the color here. It's just so I can see what I intend to do. And let's choose a nice cobalt blue. And the first thing you want to do is determine the spacing away from this border color that you want this line to be. The default is, you can see the separation is 0.197. So if I hit OK, what I have to do is make sure that this line is far enough away from this line so my stones aren't touching. Okay? So now that I have that, let's go ahead and change this graphic back to the border and fill, just like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert. So just click. Since I'm dealing with a vector, no longer do I need to use the magic wand. Okay, I can actually use Smart Design. Okay, so let's go ahead and deselect my graphic here. Let's go to the hotfix. And oh, my stones aren't in there. Hold on. Here, I'm going to do a clear. And this is going to be my blue SS10. There they are. All right, so I'm going to click on the red first, click on my graphic, Smart Design. I'm going to choose Fill. Okay. Let's move the Smart Designer over here, away from it. And then you can see now my heart's filled. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I can click on the image and add the border anytime I want. I don't have to click on the border color and change it. I can do it right from here. And then just change it to the right color that I want. Okay? Now we can choose the last color in our list, click on the blue. All right, see it's selected, and we're going to choose path. Now we can see that our vector line that we use for that blue is too far away. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to turn back on my vector, turn off the hotfix so I can choose it, and I'm going to redraw that and do it a little bit closer. Okay, so let's do our contour line, and instead of 0.197, let's choose that blue again. We're going to go a little bit closer. We're going to go 0.15 up. Let's click on it. Hotfix path. Let's take a look at that now. Still a little too far. So just keep reducing your spacing on it. That was 0.150. Let's go ahead and go to 0.100. To half a millimeter closer. We're getting real close here. Okay, so we're almost there. So let's go ahead and click on. Let's turn on the hotfix. Get rid of the blue stones. You don't want to resize though, but you don't want to like just grab a hold of it and move it in. Okay, turn off your hotfix so you can choose the rhinestones being on top of my graphic makes it hard for me to choose any specific part of the graphic. So I always turn that view off, okay, on the right-hand side. So let's click on it again, and let's go ahead and go to contour. And that was 0.100. Let's go 0.085. And I think I can get closer than that. Let me go do it again. 0.065, okay? Too close. I forgot the 0.065. All right, that should do it. So if I click on it now and I go to hotfix path, let's turn off my vector, turn it on, and now we're getting real close. See, just maybe another adjustment, or maybe the conversion of the border stone to an SS10. So if I go to add a bead here, and I choose SS10, add the clear crystal, and then I just choose the SS. Sorry, that's red, and I got to do it from here. There we go. So I think this actually gives me the right look that I'm looking for. Okay. Let's get a look at that through the simulation view and take a real good look at it. My computer's freezing up, but I think you get the idea how to actually get that third color there. Okay. Does this work with rhinestone text? And as long as you have enough room for the stones, yes, you can actually do, let's then do an applique kind of look, okay? Let me go ahead and close this question here. Let me show you how to do this, okay? For some reason, my Sierra kind of closed up on me. Let me just go ahead and restart it real quick. I'm running a couple things in the background. So, hold on 1 second. Almost time to upgrade my computer. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and grab some, let me go ahead and open up a new page here. And let's go ahead and do a text, okay? And I always use graphics, okay? I use a graphic text, not the hotfix text. I could do the hotfix text, but there's an added step I must do, okay? So let me go ahead and choose something real cool here. And by the way, you're going to want something bold, okay? And if I can find a font that actually already has a border color, like this one here, the sample one, has a border color already, so I can actually get it done even quicker. But let me see. Let's choose this one here, Berlin sample. We'll choose like a 3-inch font. We'll bold. I always bold it. Let's do the letter S, okay? Or we'll actually do the letter W, okay? W's and N's and M's are always some of the harder things to do. So again, choose my color, okay? So this one here is 3. We go about 4 inches. There we go, 4 inches. Okay. So right away, I don't need to add a border. Okay, what I do need to do is actually add the contour. Okay. So whenever you're dealing with this text, I don't know why it thinks it's grouped together, but it is. See how contour with offset's grayed out? It won't come up until you ungroup all. Now it comes up. All right. So I like the when I did 0.050. Okay. So I'm going to keep that contour just like the same, and I'll just change it to blue, just so I have some kind of visual reference of what I'm converting to what. Okay. Now you can see sometimes it doesn't come in nice and cleanly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this node, and I'm just going to straighten it out. So this should be a corner node. Should have 2 grips if it is. And it should be, let's go straight. There we go. So you might check it over, make sure it's correct. See this one here? This one here, it needs to, you need sometimes fashion this a little bit better. And I'll do the same thing over here. Don't really need this node, but I'll take your Bezier grips, straighten them out. Okay. So, yeah, so you can see there's a lot of, there we go. There's some editing I might have to do. It depends on how close to the actual graphic is. or how clean the font is. All right, so there we have our three colors. Okay, you can almost see the white track color in the middle there. So just go ahead and convert. So I'm going to choose. Let's choose this. It says 10. I'll add my stones first. So I'm going to choose all 10 to 3 millimeters. So I'm going to go to the standard round. We'll go to SS10. We'll do white, blue. Doesn't matter what order you're putting them in. And of course, red. Okay. So we click on the color we're going to use first. Click on the first part of the image that we want to convert. Since it is a vector, we use Smart Design and choose our fill pattern. Okay, bring this, there we go. And now we're going to go ahead and go to Hotfix. We're going to choose the next color for our border. Click on the on here on the letter and turn the border on. All right, there it is. Now you can see right away that my border line is really too close for SS10 stones. So I'm going to turn off the hotfix, get rid of my contour line, and I'm going to redo it with a little bit more spacing in between. Let's start with the 0.1. That's way too far out. You can see that immediately. So let's go ahead and go to 0.100. And that may be good. So to do that, I'm going to turn on the hotfix. Let's take a look at it. It might be too close still. Let me, let's do it again. So click on it, contour, and let's go to 0.135. Didn't like that setting. Let me try it again. 0.135. All right, so let's look at that with the hotfix on, and that's way too far out. That's too far outside. So let me try it again. Hotfix off. Click on it. Let me click on the border color. Okay. I'm going to change the border to blue so I can see it. Okay. Now, let me see if I get a different contour. 0.130. Okay, so let's use this one here, okay? And that's going to be my blue. So yeah, there you go. As long as you have the room to fill, to get a look, now you see you have the problem right here. You know, what I do with that, just bring this down a little bit, fills it in nicely. I may have to do the same thing to the contour line. Just go ahead and move your stones about, like up. To get this to fill in better up here, I got to attack one of these corners. So when I click on here, I'm just going to move this node up and out of the way. I'm going to delete this node up out of the way, and if I just move this up a little bit, this will start filling in a little better. Let's move it up just a little bit more. And then we'll do the same thing to the contour line. Now, the rest of the stuff here, I'll just go ahead and go to Edit Hotfix. I'll just move a stone here and there. Right-click, insert a hotfix stone. Just place my stone right there. I'm not going to just keep moving vector lines. I actually want to get this thing run today. There we go. So as long as you have the room, yeah, trap colors are a very good possibility. Would you please tell me how to send the artwork to the cutter? Taking this image, for instance, number one, my spacing on a cutter, my spacing needs to be about 17, okay? So if I'm doing this trap color look, you got to make sure your spacing between stones are set to 17. So on all these parts, because without it, you're actually going to get overlap in your cuts, okay? So there's my image, and looks like I may need to add a stone here and there, maybe right here. And then I'll just move this one down. There we go. There's my cutter information here, okay? When you send this to a cutter, if you have a cutter, I don't have a cutter connected to this thing. Let me see, I have a cutter right here. Let me see if I can get a USB cable to it. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Here's the USB. All right, let me turn the cutter on. And I'll plug it into my computer. Okay, when I'm sending this to the cutter, okay, as for flock, you go to File, you save, and you're exporting this vector graphic to a cutter, okay? Or actually, let me go to stencil. And I'm going to go to send hotfix file as HPGL, overlap detected. You want to continue? And I do have some overlap, so let me do that first, okay? Always solve overlaps. There's a couple, delete them. There we go. Now we can send it to a cutter. So let's go here, save. You're going to choose export hotfix template, okay? To the as a hotfix HPGL. What it's going to do, you have 3 pages. You have the red beads, you have the blue bead, white beads, and you have the blue beads, okay? And we can preview each one of these, okay? This is the blue. Then there's the white. Red, white, and blue. There's the red, white, and blue. So you want to send each one differently because you're going to have 3 pieces of flock, okay, that you're going to do. So the first thing I do is load my flock into my cutter, and I send this to it, okay? So I go to page design, and let's just go to custom, and depending upon what kind of flock, how wide your flock is, you want to set the width to the width of your flock material that you're using. Doesn't really matter about the height because when you're done, you can include a cut frame, which is going to put a square around your cut, just like you see here. So you can pull it away from the rest of the flock. Without it, you will have to cut around it. Okay. So when I look at this, when I go to beads now and I go to the preview, you should see a cut line. You see the box right here? This square? That's what that cut does. I'm saying so it's going to cut that out. Okay, and each one of them will have that cut line. If you don't want that cut line and you want to use scissors to get a little closer, there's no setting. You can't go in there and set how close that cut line is. It's a default setting to be pretty far away. Now when I do this, you won't see that cut line. See, it's gone. So I can use my scissors and maybe a straight ruler to actually cut a nice square out and cut my flock out. Once you do this, then you save it, and then it'll send off to the cutter. Save the file, and I can save it to my desktop. Let's do Patriotic Heart or something like, or W Patriotic. So I know what that is. Yeah. There we go. See, would you please tell me how to save? Okay, got that. How do you save an image to a USB? Okay, I'll answer that question. How can you see the size of each image? Well, the size of each image is actually on your screen, okay? So let's get a go here. You highlight your image here, okay, and go to layout. It tells you right here, this is 4.341 by roughly just over 4 1/4 inches wide by almost just under 3.5 inches in height. Okay, that's how big it is. My cutter is not connected to stitch error. Could I save as SVG? No, you can't save as SVG, but you can. Let me see. I can save. I can export as a meta file, and HTML, and I think I could open that up in other programs too. Okay. All right, that's exporting. Okay. Now sending to a cutter, sending directly to a cutter. If you're connected, you don't want to use the export feature. You actually just want to go to File and Send Graphic to the cutter. That's vinyl. I'm sorry, that's vinyl. That's how I would do vinyl. Hold on, let me go here. File. This is stencil as. This will save the file as an HPGL. This will save it as a document. And then the HPGL you can actually open up in other programs. Okay, CorelDRAW, for instance, will open up an HPGL. Okay. Sending hotfix stencil to is sending it to a cutter. There we go. Send hotfix to a cutter. Send hotfix to an HPGL compatible device. The HPGL will be your IO-Line, your Roland, the GravTech, anything like that. Okay, as long as your cutter can receive an HPGL file, it'll cut this image out. Most of your cutters will. Most of your better cutters will. Okay. Once I set this to it, it'll actually go to beads, and it has all the beads stuff there. I can see all the beads, how they're going to cut. And then once I go to send, I could choose my GravTech cutter right here. Okay. When I click on OK here, it's going to open up a GravTech cutter dialog box. And let me make sure I turn my cutter off because I really don't want to cut this. But now the cutter will actually take over the cutting out of this. So I send page 1 over, the cutter will cut. I cut that out. Send page 2 over, it'll cut all that out. Send page 3 over, and it'll cut all that out. By the way, you choose what you want to cut here. Okay. I'm going to uncheck these boxes. These page 2 and page 3 will not cut. Only page 1. When that finishes, I turn that off. I turn page 2 on. Send that to the cutter. When that gets finished, and turn page 2 off and send page 3 to the cutter, and then you have all 3 parts ready to go. Okay. How do you save an image to a USB? Okay, saving an image as a USB for, I guess, for cams, you can actually go to File, and you go to Export. I'm sorry. You're going to go to Export Hotfix File. Export or Send Hotfix File. And for your CAMS machine, number one, you want to make sure your machine's type is here, the right machine model is here, okay? And then you go to your beads and trays and you assign where these beads are going to be. So what I want is I just want to do the red and white, not the blue right now. The red is going to be tray 1, blue is going to be, clear is going to be tray 2, which is the right side, if you're using a 1V2P. If you have a 1V6P machine, which is a 6-color machine, then you have trays 1 through 6. Okay, you just assign where these stones are going to be. Okay, again, this is only for cams. Okay, once I'm done with that, you see the send to serial port. If I was going to send directly to a machine that's connected through a USB cable, I click this, uncheck this on. Now it'll send to a machine. If I uncheck this, it's going to save it to a USB stick. So if I go to export, okay, it's going to save what's called an SRT file, a sorted file. I just choose my USB stick under here in the computer listing here, and then I save it, name it, and save it. Okay, that's how you save to a USB. If you have multiple pages and just want the size of one image, you have a US cutter, so you just want the size of one image. I think what you're saying is you just want the red. Okay, you just want this one here, this page right here, and if I go to View Export Reference, you just want that. Well, just turn off what you don't want and then save it. Okay? Let me see. Can I add a double border rhinestone digitized file? Yes, and we just answered that question. Okay? All right. Okay. All right, any questions on different parts of this? Now, let me go ahead and go back to this. I'm going to show you another thing you can do. All right, let's say you have a DSG file, okay? But you do not have the graphic anymore. I'm going to delete all this. Hold on, let me just go back to my mouse here. All right, let's right-click. Okay. Let's say we have this DSG file here, this heart, but we want to put a trap color on it. We want to make it more than one color. Well, we can make it too easy by just clicking on it and just adding our border. Okay, that's simple. But what happens when we want a third color? Okay, well, what I need to do, you need that vector file. Okay, without the vector file, you cannot do that trap color. So how do I deal with that? Well, as long as you have a DSG file on here, again, this does not work with any other format, but if you have a DSG file, a design file, you can right-click on this file and then convert the hotfix to a vector. Okay? So let me turn off the hotfix. Now you can see now we have a vector file. And with that vector file, now I can do my contour. Okay, and choose the color that I want. Okay, get a little bit closer, but I think you get the idea. Got another question from Laverne. I have 2 lines of digitized text. How do I tell how large one line of text is? At the bottom left shows total size. Well, what you want to do is you want to go to your view menu, and you have this measuring tool here. Click on it, and left-click mouse and drag a line, and you can see the measurement shows up in that little dialog box up to the right of where you're measuring, okay? It's measuring the distance, okay? You can release that and measure something else. Release that and measure something else. To release your ruler, just hit the escape button, and then it releases it. How do you do rhinestones all over? What I mean in the middle of a shirt, to place a name in the middle with vinyl. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, okay? I have this, let me go ahead and delete these rhinestones here. All right, so let's say this is my, let me go to the solid. This is what I intend to be vinyl, and I intend to do like a scatter array outside of the vinyl with rhinestones, with different size clear stones, okay? One thing I'll do is I'm going to change up some things here. Let me go to my bead bar. Let's go ahead and let's change this to SS6 clear. Supposed to be a 6. I want an SS10 clear. So I got a 610 and 16. Okay, so what I want is I want this repetition line thing going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a contour line on my contour line. Okay, so choose the contour line, contour offset, and do this repetitively. Okay, so as a matter of fact, you can tell it how many lines to do here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the first one. Let's go ahead and do let's click on this one here. We're going to do SS16 stones on this. So I'm going to go ahead and choose hotfix path. We'll choose the SS16 stones. Let's click on this next line. By the way, you might have to turn off your hotfix view so you can choose it. Let's do another hotfix path. Let's go ahead and do a space. Let's go in SS10 here. Let's do a spacing of maybe, instead of 3, we'll go to 12. We're going to go higher. Let's go 50. No, we're going to go to 25. Let's go ahead and click on this line here. We'll do another hotfix path. This one here, we'll do a spacing of 25. Click on this one here. We'll repeat with our SS16 style. We'll do 150. And then this one here, we'll do another hotfix path. We'll do SS10. We'll go 200. Okay. And just spacing it out as you grow out. Now, once I do that, then I could take a look at this and say, you know what, I want this to be a little bit further apart. Instead of 25, let's go to 45. That looks a lot better, okay? And you can start graduating out. Let's go and make this one, instead of 25, let's go to 42. And you see what you're doing, okay? And I can add more lines and more lines and more lines, and you could do multiplication. If the second line is 25, multiply it by 2, the next spacing will be 50. Multiply it by 4, and then you'll get 50, be 200 on the next line. And then you'll have this geometric pattern that expands outside of your original heart, okay? Does that answer that question, Mayra? Okay, great. Yeah, you can have fun with contour lines. Let's see, I apologize, but I have to leave. Could you send me the recording? Tomorrow morning, you'll get an email automatically of this recording, okay? Just download it, you'll have it, okay? Let's see, yeah, we're actually over time right now. So we got some information, yeah, a lot more information on creating designs, doing different patterns. This actually pattern that I just did with all these border lines, okay, is automatically made through an add-on feature, an add-on fill pattern called Spectacular Fill, okay, where you can actually do this. Another way you can do it is using the outer ring fill. That's another add-on feature, but you don't really need it. I mean, you can just do it just using the contour lines. As long as you have a vector file, you can add as many vector lines as you want, contour lines as you want to, and then convert them over into stones, different sizes. Well, I appreciate everybody's attendance today. We had a great time. I actually learned some things myself here as I was doing it. So hoping you're having a great weekend. We'll see you next week if you have Stitcher or Liberty, so we can actually see everything we just covered today on embroidery. Have a great weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.